Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dan, the voice behind ThatKaitoDan, and before we start, I just want to say a big thanks to AC Gears and Arms, who made this awesome Persona 5 Phantom Thief Dan art a while back. You might have actually seen this pop up in my Persona 5 Shadow Challenge video, but now he'll be appearing at the end screen for future videos. So I just wanted to give the awesome guy who made this a huge shout out and a big thanks. Please be sure to check out his Patreon and his DeviantArt page in the description down below. With that being said, let's get on with the show. So, with RWBY making an appearance in BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, it's opened up discussion for possible dream match action involving the RWBY cast. Ask any fan of Death Battle, Smash Brothers, or other crossovers out there about the possible dream matchups that they would like to see, and you'd likely get a huge list. So I felt like exploring with you all some of the RWBY involved bouts that I would love to see. For the record, I'm not going to go over every RWBY character for the sake of time, and I'm limiting myself to only one fight per guest character, just to keep things varied. Oh, and there may be some spoilers for not just RWBY, but the other highlighted properties as well, so do watch with caution. Also, please be sure to leave some of your most wanted crossover fights in the comments down below. With all that said, let's get ready to rumble with my picks for RWBY crossover dream matches. Now, it's only fair that I start off with RWBY herself, and while I could mention a fellow Scythe user that she'll be facing in cross tag, there's still plenty of other characters out there that would make for a worthy opponent. Like another flower petal emitting Scythe user in Marluxia, the graceful assassin of Organization 13 from Kingdom Hearts. Or we could see who's the best Scythe user that's voiced by the Japanese voice actress Sayori Hayami, the actress that plays RWBY in the Japanese dub, and also the pint-sized sarcastic cipher Shinoa from Seraph of the End. But let's face it, we all know who's the most fitting candidate. Heck, many people are already clamoring for this to be the next RWBY involved death battle. That of course being a fight involving Maka from Soul Eater. Maka's just as quick and gifted with her weapon as RWBY is, and the two are very similar as people, both being very kind-hearted, brave and honest. What would give Maka an edge, mind you, is her scythe actually being another person, her partner Soul. This essentially means that RWBY would be facing a 2-on-1 situation, which would put RWBY on the ropes even with her untapped Silver Eyes power and her ranged sniper fire. Either way, it's not hard to tell why a fight between these two would be worth a watch. Come on Death Battle, you know we want this one bad. On to Weiss now, and I would love to see a fight between our favourite Snow Angel and the equally formal, proud and multi-elemental magic whiz, Melia from Xenoblade Chronicles. I've also seen others tout the idea of a clash between Weiss and another speedy rapier and magic user, Asuna from Sword Art Online. However, my biggest pick would have to be Weiss versus Aqua of Kingdom Hearts fame. Both are strong women who have kept determined even through some very horrid low points, and the two fight pretty much the same style, dancing around the battlefield with beauty and grace, making up for their weak defense and strength with mastery of rapid, precise sword attacks, nimble dodges, and a variety of offensive and supportive spells. A fight between these two would almost look like a dance-off, definitely one of the most beautiful looking fights that would be possible on this list. Then we got Blake, and given there's a wide variety of catgirl fighters out there, it's easy to speculate on the faunus tussling with someone like, say, the fellow feline Blair from Soul Eater. There is also a potential fast-paced and brutal fight should the former White Fang rebel face off against the red-eyed killer Akame from Akame ga Kill, an assassin who also deserted her faction. I do feel there is more to be had though in seeing Blake clash dual swords with the resident female badass of Attack on Titan, Mikasa. Right here you got another tough and agile fighter who can also soar through the air with speed and focus that would be able to match up with Blake's agility, and a fight between these two highly trained focused girls with skills as sharp as their swords and plenty of emotional baggage to fuel their desire to survive. As for Blake's partner Yang, she obviously did have her crossover fight with Tifa from Final Fantasy VII, but that's just one possible contest. There's Yang duking it out with the fire-type martial artist Pokemon of Blaziken in a hard-hitting blazing brawl, and if Yang features in cross tag, we could also have a matchup between the Firecracker and Bullet, the Blaze Blue Bruiser, who actually has a color palette based on Miss Xiaolong. But recently, the anime world has seen someone whose rage could possibly match that of Yang's. The King of Explosions from My Hero Academia, Katsuki Bakugo. Just imagine a pissed off Yang and an equally pissed off Bakugo unleashing just pure hellfire as they trade blows. It would definitely be a blast in many ways. Plus, it would be interesting to see which would come out on top, Yang's damage conductive defense or Bakugo's sweat powered offense. Next up, Jean. And since we just had Kachan mentioned, let's flip things over and bring up Deku, the rival of Bakugo. This timid yet sincere young lad has big dreams, insightful tactical knowledge on hero or villain alike, and a deep potential to become something amazing. Sounds very similar to the blonde boy, don't you think? Same for Junpei for Persona 3, who like Jean is a bit of a tryhard, both with the ladies and with playing the hero to mask his insecurities. And that's just a few elements that they share on their very similar emotional roller coasters. However, I opted for Sokka from Avatar The Last Airbender to be my dream match pick for Jean. A class clown type with a supportive and welcoming heart, Sokka carries a warrior's determination, even though he's overshadowed by his far more powerful friends. He's also equally capable as a strategist, and just like Jean, he's equally unlucky with his love life. The perfect opponent, I feel, to see how Jean fares against someone cut from the very same cloth as he is. Moving on, and Nora was actually a lot of people's pick to fight Amy from the Sonic series in Death Battle. And while it wasn't meant to be, you can see why she'd fit the bill, as both pink-haired girls are very spirited, sometimes too much so, and pack a hammer prime and ready to unleash their anger. Some folks would also like to see Nora take on Marvel's Thor in a battle of the electrical hammer masters based on the Norse god. Personally, I lean more towards another fight involving the same voice actor, namely putting up Nora against another bubbly and bouncy young girl in Mako from Kill la Kill, who despite being a major airhead has shown that she can get rough with the best of them. Switching over to the other female rep of Team Juniper, anyone seeking to best Pyrrha would have to be at the top of their game given her champion level skill. Capable options include Red vs Blue's Agent Carolina, another redhead voiced by Jen Brown, who was once the top freelancer super soldier in her group, and for good reason. There's also Wonder Woman, for a clash between the Amazon warrior and the Greek-inspired hero, and both girls are fantastic both on and off the war zone with their similar weaponry, picture-perfect movement in battle, and their loving yet determined spirit. My pick though is Urza, the red-headed member of Fairy Tail, who is quoted as being one of the finest wizards in the entire world even at her young age. Miss Scarlet is capable of overcoming insane odds all on her own, and just like Pyrrha, she does so all aiming to protect her dear friends. Thanks to a deep pool of magical armor and her insane durability, she could prove a handful even against Pyrrha's own unpredictable combat prowess in a battle of the best red-headed warriors. Wrapping up Team Juniper now with Ren, and you got one fight with a fellow swift striker in Overwatch's Genji, who has also grown into a stronger, more emotionally sound man after some tragic events, just like our favorite RWBY ninja. And speaking of ninja, there's also the water-type ninja of the Pokemon world, Greninja. Though will any of you agree in wanting to see Ren take on Soul Eater's Death the Kid? Both these lads are some of the best when it comes to being light on their feet and deadly with their shooting. Even then, Death has shown that he has some skills when it comes to hand-to-hand combat, so he could be a match for Ren even when unarmed. Yes, the Thompson sisters being Death's guns also means another uneven odds fight, but I'll take it just to see these two collide, even if it's just Death going loopy over Ren's non-symmetrical appearance. Okay, let's pick up the pace now with a lightning round. We got plenty more dream matches in mind to discuss, so let's quickly go over a few other contests that I'd love to hear about before we explore some more in better detail. Sun vs Fairy Tail's Sting in the Battle of the Loud and Confident Blondes, voiced by Michael Jones. Neptune vs Red vs Blue's Tucker in the Battle of Rooster Teeth's blue-haired energy-bladed Playboys. Coco vs Jinx from League of Legends in the Battle of the Destructive and Charismatic Minigun Divas. Velvet vs Fate Stay Night's Shiro Emiya in the Kind-Hearted Unlimited Blade Works vs Kind-Hearted Unlimited Bunny Works. Ozpin vs Harry Potter's Dumbledore in the Battle of the Magical and Mysterious Headmasters. Oobleck vs Avatar The Last Airbender's Iroh in the Battle of the Fire-Powered, kinda silly Aged Wise Men. The Malachi Twins vs Tales of Vesperia's Gauche and Drot in the Battle of the Deadly Tandem Fighting Twins. Arslan vs Persona 5's Makoto in the Battle of the Bare-Knuckle Brawling Teen Moms. Reese vs The World Ends With You's Beat in the Battle of the Extreme Street Fighting Skateboarders. Flint vs Kingdom Hearts' Demix in Clo-Making Aloof Sitar Player vs Clo-Making Stylish Jazzman. Neon vs Arcana Hearts' LILKA in the Battle of the Bratty Prankster Skater Girls. And finally, Amber vs The Legend of Korra's Korra in the Battle of the Elemental Legendary Protectors. Now let's carry on with more detailed discussions, this time with the combat-ready Penny. There's a slew of synthetic humans, androids, and cyborgs out there who could fit the bill to take on the sweet-natured robot girl, like Tekken's Alicia, with her own blend of rocket-propelled attacks all wrapped up in a cute but clumsy girl. Or Nu 13, a yandere robot girl from Blaze Blue who fights with the same multi-blade style as Penny, plus she has her own interesting relationship with a particular scythe user. But if Penny makes the cut for Cross Tag, there's every chance she could also face a rep from the Persona series, that being the secret anti-shadow weapon, Aegis. Aegis is equipped with a bucket load of firepower while still being faster on her feet than you'd imagine. Not to mention she has her own persona for added striking damage and boost skills. Off the battlefield, she's also just like Penny in having grown more sociable and emotional with time spent alongside her friends, which, for me, adds to why I would love to see her take on Penny, in a bout between two of the sweetest yet strongest robot girls out there. Continuing on with Crow's matchup now, and you can call in fighters based on either his awesome weapon or his unfortunate bad luck semblance, and still get plenty of tasty fights to imagine. Perhaps Crow could battle Stein from Soul Eater, a very similarly well-respected scythe user with his fair share of social and emotional issues behind his rather eccentric traits. Or there's Aizen from Tales of Berseria. While the pirate fights bare-fisted, he's equally cursed, the Reaper's Curse as he dubs it, affecting friends, family, and enemies alike whenever they surround him. If Crow can be a danger by himself with his curse, what kind of fight would we see if bad luck strikes both opponents? Still though, he's not my most requested opponent for Crow to face. In fact, I've kind of briefly touched on him before, that being Blaze Blue's Ragnar the Blood Edge. Reasons why? Let's see. Transforming big sword and scythe combination weapon, lone wolf mentality, tortured past weighing heavily on him. Seems a perfect fit really, and I can only imagine the damage that these two can dish out together. Carrying on with a former opponent of Crow's now in Winter, and you really could give her some of the same options that Weiss had, but Winter's own personal elements highlight some other possible contenders apart from the ones that I gave her sister. She's a superb swordsman who could bear the cold and dish it out all the same with either her words or her weapons, which could fit well alongside the attitude and talent of Olivia Armstrong from Fullmetal Alchemist, one of the most feared yet respected commanding women in the entire anime world. Then we have the perfectionist and devoted protector, Pearl from Steven Universe, who also broke free from a rather cruel upbringing to become a skilled fighter, though with some very noticeable emotional hindrances here or there. Still, it is hard to ignore Mitsuru from Persona 3 as a potential best rival to face Winter. A fellow ice user and rapier whiz, few could top this extremely professional and high-class woman when it comes to a fight. Focused, intelligent, and a woman with a firm resolve even when tested by her own family issues seems a solid option, right? Swapping now from Ice Queen to Flame Fatale, Cinder could brawl with a number of cunning yet twisted fiery ladies. Perhaps the red-hot maiden of the Persona 4 series, Yukiko Amagi, who's just as beautiful as Cinder, but she's definitely a warmer, more loving soul behind her pyrokinetic abilities. Besides her, there's the twisted schemer Medusa of Soul Eater. Even though she prefers magical spiked arrows for her attacks, her heart is still just as black as Cinder's, even using her own flesh and blood for her dark plans, and she more than made her own mark from within her enemy's home base. But when it comes to someone who could take on the flame-throwing mastermind behind the Beacon Fall, you can't go wrong with Azula from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Probably one of the most fearsome firebenders in the entire Avatar universe, and someone who expertly manipulates enemy or ally just to suit her cause. From Cinder to members of her own faction, we'll definitely need someone with a lot of power and hatred behind their kicks to go toe to toe with Mercury, literally. Perhaps someone like Street Fighter's Yuri Han. She's definitely someone who could rival Mercury's vicious streak behind every smirk or kick that she dishes out. Though on the other hand, you could match him up against the dickish Killer Merc of another Rooster Teeth duo, Felix from Red vs. Blue. That is, if you don't agree with me that seeing the arrogant kicking son of an assassin go up against the gentlemanly red hot kicking cook Sanji from One Piece would be a hell of a contest and a masterclass of foot focused fighting. As for Mercury's partner Emerald, it's only fair to mention Felix's partner Locus as a contender, both green-tinted fighters serving as the more serious of the respective duos, while still being a sharpshooting force to be reckoned with. If however you would prefer a thief versus thief bout, there's one of the best thieves in the Mass Effect galaxy in Kasumi Goto, who might be able to get the best of Emerald's illusion tricks thanks to her high-tech stealth. Or there's my pick, Nami from One Piece, the sly cat burglar thief who loves money and is more than able to win a fight with using her weapon-based abilities, even as someone who tends to prefer avoiding fighting as much as possible. Next is the suave mastermind of the Veil Underground, Roman Torchwick. This smooth criminal would likely not get along with anyone making mischief on his turf, like perhaps the charming thief Gambit from the X-Men universe. He may be more of a good guy lovable rogue than a law-breaking bad guy, but he is still a troublemaker, especially with his staff and his own array of explosive tricks. The other contender, mind you, is a true pest, BlazBlue's iconic trolling asshole, Hazama, who delights in causing mayhem and pain for others, all with that fake smile on his face. But when it comes to a criminal with a trademark smile, few smirk better while breaking the law than the clown prince of crime, the Joker. Be it guns, poison, or things that go boom, this chaotic yet colourful clown may be the worst kind of opponent for Roman to face if he is to remain at the top of the criminal food chain, and that's more than enough for me to want to see them fight. This naturally means that we should have Roman's right-hand woman of Neo take on Joker's loony yet very dangerous associate Harley Quinn, right? Well, that would definitely be a fun fight, but I still lean on other options first. Perhaps we could have a brawly battle between Neo and the pink-haired parasol parading Princess Peach of the Mushroom Kingdom. Or perhaps my pick, the equally murderous and cold-blooded Nui from Kill la Kill. Both girls having a trickster-like attitude when they fight, and their hard-to-hit diminutive body housing a killer intent behind their devilish grins. What about a fight involving the masked Faunus Adam? Even though Monty has said that his weapon wasn't inspired by this guy's blade, many do see similarities between Adam's Wilt and Blush and Murasama, the gun-sheathed katana of the vigilante Jetstream Sam from Metal Gear Rising. Unlike Adam though, Sam fights criminal organizations with good-natured intentions, whereas Adam of course rebels due to his hatred of humans, a negative opinion that is shared with Virgil from Devil May Cry. This imposing and chilling man is very proud of his demon heritage, and like Adam, is willing to trample over others to gain power, doing so with sleek flair, a piercing gaze, and flashy cutting skills to rival even the Red Bull of the White Fang. But I have not picked Virgil as his opponent in my dream match. Instead, I've gone for Virgil, the DMC variant. This spin on the white-haired half-demon also leads a rebellion of his own, but he's far more cruel and anti-human than his original version. Less an anti-villain seeking power and more of a selfish tyrant, very similar to Adam in that regard, with bold intentions to make humanity pay and kneel by his boot. And finally, let's wrap this up with a newer face fresh from Volume 4, Tyrion. The unstable Scorpion Faunus could unleash his unrestrained brand of mayhem on a fellow murdering beast with a tail to avoid in Cell from Dragon Ball Z. And I did also consider the creepy clown assassin Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter, a man who'd happily stalk his prey for years just to get his perfect fight against a strong opponent, clearly sharing Tyrion's joy for a good fight with his target. But Tyrion's not just a shrewd hunter, he's also a venomous and blood-crazy loyalist to his queen, just like Street Fighter's Fang, an equally inhumanly nimble and batshit insane slayer of many lives, especially with his wide array of poison tricks, all to make his master M. Bison happy. A fight with these two would be a whole new spin on the term Death Battle. And that's it! A slew of dream matches involving our RWBY lot that I could imagine would be some of the most stylish and craziest crossover fights that we could imagine. And who knows, maybe one day we'll see them take place. But these are of course just my picks. What dream fights would you wish to see come true? And who do you think would win in the bouts that I imagined? Let me know in the comments down below, and while you're at it, hit the subscribe and bell buttons to make sure you get every new video from me as they come out. And follow me on Twitter at ThatKaitoDan for more on all things RWBY, plus updates on future content and more. Until next time though, have a good day or good night, and peace out.